Right here, I draw my river, so I'm going to do the first one, and then you can try the second one. So I would draw my river right here, and I treat it like an equal sign. So, Stephen, how do I get m by itself? What do I have to do with that 5? Yeah, you would add because it's the inverse, the opposite. So I would add 5 to both sides, just like we did yesterday. And when I do that, I end up getting m is less than 4. And I know it's less than because when I'm looking at m, it's facing away from it. It's flexed towards it. So m is less than 4. So now I'm going to graph it down here, and it would be an open circle because there's no line underneath it on 4. And now remember, the only difference between yesterday and today is now I'm going to have a bunch of answers. So like what numbers are less than 4? Is 3 less than 4 or is 5 less than 4? 3. So I'm going to shade all these numbers that are less than 4. So remember, this, even though we do it the same as the equation, it's different because we're going to have a lot of different answers. See if you could try the second one on your own. See if you could try the one next to it. It's exactly the same, just different numbers. See if you could try number 2 on your own. So same steps we just took, and see if you could try graphing it. Good, now try graphing it. Same way we did number 1, try number 2. So most people are getting finished. At least I see you guys solve it correctly. So first we draw our river at the inequality sign. And then what do we do to get that 2 on the other side? Add it, right? Because it's always the inverse. And so when I do that, I get this right here. And -8 plus 2 is -6. How many people got that far? Give me a thumbs up. Cool. Now, I know, is it a solid, or is it open or closed circle if it has a line underneath it? Closed, right? Because it's like, it's equal to also. So I'm going to put a closed circle on -6. Then when I draw my little man, I can see his booty is pointed towards R, right? If someone's going to talk to you with their back face, that means they think you're less than them. So which number is less than -6? And remember, negative means you owe money. What's worse, owing $7 or owing $5? 7, right? So when you see a negative, just always think of money, right? Deal with it every day. So negative just means you owe that money. So owing $7 is worse than owing $5. Cool. So the next one is the subtractions, exact same thing. Now we're doing the opposite. So we draw our river, and then how do we get h by itself here? Yeah, subtract 7 on both sides. Same thing we did yesterday. And so you end up getting h is greater than or equal to -3. Just make sure that you write, if h is on one side, keep it on that side. Don't switch sides or anything like that. So if h is on this side, on the left, keep it on the left. Some people are starting to switch them, and that's how you get them incorrect. So at -3, I put a solid dot on there because I squished the equal sign together. And then since the mouth is eating it, is it greater than or less than? Greater than, right? And so I would shade the numbers greater, which is -2, because owing $2 is better than owing $5. So now see if you could try the next one. So draw your river. And if you need to rewrite it so it looks better, you can always rewrite it like this. So if it's messing with you, you can do a plus 3 and then -5 over here. Which one is it the mouth eating, -5 or the a plus 3? Right here. Which number is it eating? -5. So when we rewrite it, just make sure the mouth is eating the correct one. Then go ahead and solve it. And solve it the exact same way you did number 3 to number 4. If you don't need to rewrite it, you can solve it on your own. So see if you could solve and graph it. So most people are getting finished. So we should have subtracted 3 on both sides, even if you used the original one. I saw Angel didn't have to change it, and he still got the answer. And you end up getting A is less than -8. No matter if you changed it or not, you would still get the same answer. So I put an open circle on -8, and it's less than because the booty's pointed towards A. So which is worse? Less than owing $9 or owing $7? 9. So I would go this. Who got that? Give me a thumbs up. Now, multiplication and division are the ones that are going to be a little bit different. And so there's those special, like little tricks, not really tricks, but they're special rules for multiplication and division. And so the rules are a little bit different because when I multiply by a negative coefficient, that means if a clingy girlfriend is negative, the sign flips. And so like right here, the clingy girlfriend, the coefficient has to be negative. So see how this guy's negative right here? We know our sign, because it's clinging onto them, is going to flip during that one. But not this one, because see the clingy girlfriend's not negative. Right here, we can see the clingy girlfriend's negative right here, so our sign's going to flip in the end. That's the only thing that's different between the equations, what we did yesterday and today. With multiplication division, if you multiply or divide by a clingy girlfriend that's negative, the sign's going to flip. And so we're just doing the same thing here. So we draw a river. And this says B. What does that line mean? Division, right? Divided by 2. So what's the opposite? Yep, so we're going to multiply 2 to both sides. When I do that, I end up getting B is less than -6. And so our sign didn't flip because we didn't multiply or divide by a negative. Only when the guy attached to the variable, like that -5 is negative Nancy flips the sign. And so when I graph this, I would do the same thing. I would start at -6. It would be an open circle. And it's B less than or greater than -6 here. Is his booty pointed towards B, or is he looking at B? His booty, right? So that means he thinks he's less than. So what's worse, owing $7 or owing $5? Owing 7, so it looked like that. Beautiful. See if you could try the next one on your own. But notice there's a negative Nancy, so what's going to happen with your inequality sign? It's going to flip directions. So try the next one on your own, see if you can figure it out. And then we'll go over it. So what do we do to both sides of the equation? Multiplied -5. Uh-oh, when we multiply by that negative Nancy, the sign we know is going to flip direction. And so now we end up with n, and now it's facing n. 2 times -5 is -10. Who got that far? So it only flips when we multiply or divide by that negative coefficient. So when I graph it, I would have -10, and it would be an open circle because there's no equal. And now is n greater than or less than it? If it's eating it, greater than, right? So which one's better, owing $9 or owing 11? 9, right? So I would change this direction. Cool. Last one's just division, so this is just one step. And so you're doing, how do you get C by itself when something's attached to something? We divide, right? And so that's just the same thing as saying, basically, if there's that couple in the hallway that we talked about that's so hard to get into their separate classes, someone's got to divide them apart, right? And so between those is just an invisible multiplication. So to get rid of it, I would divide by 4 on both sides. And does the sign flip here? Nope, because that 4 is not negative. Even if that's all negative, the coefficient's got to be negative. So you end up with this right there. So is C less than or greater than negative 30? Less than. So which one's worse? Owing $4 or owing $2? Owing $4, right? So I shade that way. Now you try the last one on your own, see if you can get it. So what will we do to both sides? Good, divide by that -8. What happens to my inequality sign? It flips direction. And so you end up getting P, and right here you would have 7. Who had that, at least had that far? Correct. Cool. So then when we look at it, we have 7, 8, 6. And so is P less than 7 or greater than 7?
Less.
Less than. So which number is less than 7? 6. So we'll go that direction. Cool. So we're going to go into two-step in a few minutes, but first I want you to try just to practice on this little sheet. You guys all have this foldable. So what you're doing is you're folding it in so it meets at the center, so it looks like this. And you're practicing on those 8 examples. So you're folding it in. There's a different one that looks like this that everyone should have. And you're folding it in. Does anyone not have this? So you're folding it so it meets in the center like this. This is a different foldable. Does anyone need it? Raise your hand and I'll pass one out. So first, I would multiply 4 on both sides. What a lot of people start doing is distributing that 4, the n and 6, but we don't do that, right, Brandon? We cross it out, and we end up with n plus 6, and then 20 on this side. So you should be writing this down on number 17 on your worksheet. Then we just solve it just like you just did, one-step equation. How do I get n by itself?
It's basically like
Yes. So now it's inequalities. So I end up getting n is less than 14. And I know it's less than because the booty's pointed towards n. And so I do an open circle on 14 because I know there's no line underneath it. And since n is less than, these numbers are less than. So that would be my answer. So it's basically right, the same thing as yesterday, we're just adding on to inequalities. But don't forget when they switch, right? So let's try this number 20. I'll go over that one with you too. When something's outside of our parentheses, what does that mean? Multiply or distribute, right? So what's 3 times -9? What's the sign? -27. Plus 3n is less than or equal to -36. Go on number 20. If it helps you, you can rewrite it with its lunch tray, right? So we see positive 3n, and we see 27's lunch tray is negative. So we can rewrite it like that. Just be careful that the sign is the same thing that's in front of it. Then I draw my river, and this is the same lesson as yesterday. So first, how do I get 27 to the other side? Add it, right? So the opposite of subtracting is adding. When you do that, you bring down 3n, you bring down the sign, and what's -36 plus 27?
-9.
-9. Then how do I separate that clean couple 3 and n? N just wants to be alone. Divide. Does the sign flip?
No.
Only when if that girlfriend was a clean girlfriend was a negative Nancy. If she was negative, then that sign would flip. But because it's positive, it doesn't flip. And so I end up getting n. I bring it down. I bring the sign down. And what's -9 divided by 3? Negative. And so I put a closed circle because it has a line on it because I know it's equal. And then I can see the booty's pointed towards N, so it's less than. What's worse, owing $8 or having $2? It's worse than,
Owing.
which one's worse? It's less than. Yeah, which one's the worst?
Owing 8.
Owing $8, right? So I'm gonna shade this. Cool. And so this is what your delta math looks like too, which you'll have time to do. I'll go over one more with you. We'll go over, most of these aren't flipping, but I'll go over number 24. So 24, I'm going to rewrite it so B is on this side. B over 12 plus 10, and then I'm going to put 11 on this side. Make sure you don't change the sign. So what you do is, what is the sign eating right now? Is it eating B or 11? The original problem. Which one is it eating? Is it eating towards B or 11? It's B, right? So I still keep the sign in whatever direction. I just rewrote. Then I just solve. So how do I multiply first, or do I get rid of the 10 first? Which one do I do first? This one, right? I get rid of that constant. We don't multiply first unless it's all attached. So how do I get the 10 on the other side? What's the opposite? Subtraction. And so you end up getting B over 12. I keep the sign. And what's 11 minus 10? 1. Then, what does this line mean? This one right here. Divides. What's the opposite? Multiply. So to get rid of that, I multiply by 12. Does the sign flip? Nope, because that 12 is not negative. So you end up getting B, keep the sign, and what's 1 times 12? Beautiful. So, is it open circle or closed circle on 12? Open, because there's no line. And then since it's eating B, is B bigger or smaller? Bigger, right? So which number is bigger, 13 or 11? 13. So you're going to just try the rest of these. Your delta math homework looks like this. I'll show you. It's the next two, and I want to make sure you know how to do it because it could get a little confusing, especially if you're on your phone, so I can get you a computer if you want. And so I'll put it back up in a second. And so when you go to your delta math, if it works, that'd be great. And so I would go to 2.2. It's these last two. So all you're doing is you're solving it. So when I solve it, I would end up getting x is, and I would use a sign. When I do that, I end up getting -1. And so how I put it on here, I plot at -1, and it's a solid dot. And then I drag it, so it's less than, so I drag it all the way to the end. If this needed to change to an open circle, I just click on it again. Hopefully it will work for you. If it doesn't, then let me know. And then you would submit your answer. So that's all you're doing here. Cool. So remember